All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here talking about crazy stuff in Van Halen world. And yes, doing it real time for a few real people out there, just like you and just like me. All right, this is the real music portion of the video, brought to you by the band Attack and their album 9 Lives. Now, I purchase all my CDs. I've asked the record labels, hey, how would you like 2 weeks of free advertising? Just send me a CD. I'll plug it at the beginning. I'll plug it at the end. And you know what I got? I got crickets on the other end. No, we don't do that. We don't send out promos. They're too expensive. Really? Because if I sell 2 of these or 3 of these, I've more than made up for the cost of the CD and the postage to send it to me. More than made up for that. But anyway, this is a really good album. I purchased it myself. Bad Company, Deep Purple, British rock influences, really great AOR. It's got a kick to it. It's got some bluesiness. And I like that. So Attack and their album 9 Lives, courtesy of our friends over at Escape Music. All right. Everybody's a friend. Sure. Don't send me the CD, but everybody is a friend. And I will continue to monitor different sites to get the best quality melodic rock for the few patrons and people I have over here. By the way, if you can continue to support the channel, this is like an independent venture pretty much. Now, the algorithm, which did not respond to my viral video from yesterday, it has not responded. I'm talking about the financial portion of the algorithm has not kicked in. We'll see what happens. 28,000 views on the video, which isn't bad for me. That's pretty good. That's almost half the number of subscribers I have. So $1 a month, $2 a month, whatever you can afford. It's basically people that like to watch this channel. This will be your channel, and self-funded, because I never set out to do it that way because it was cool because YouTube was paying me. But now I don't understand why they're, well, again, I have theories, much like I have theories about David Lee Roth and why he unloaded and just put out this incredible story about Wolfgang Van Halen throwing out people at concerts that Roth invited using security to do so. Roth called them, I don't know, muscle monkeys. I don't know. Roth better be careful with how he describes security guards. That's all I'm saying. You know, in the world we live today, people could misconstrue the term monkey, and that would be a big problem for David Lee Roth. Now, again, I would never, I would never accuse David Lee Roth of being that type of person, because I think he talks, it's stream of consciousness. Plus, he plays for that team too. So he's got to get out of politically correct things that you shouldn't say, card or whatever I'm trying to say here. He's got, it's like having a passport, like a QR code. Roth has a QR code, so he won't get in trouble. He just shows it at the door and says, hey, I'm a charter member of what the media wants me to say, Incorporated. Well, here we go, though. The media did not want him to say this. At least I don't think, because the rock media especially has elevated Wolfgang Van Halen to, Jimi Hendrix-like status. Certain YouTubers talking about how he could shred and how he's great and how his songs are great. And most people who grew up listening to Van Halen are kind of doing this, like, well, okay, on to the next thing. Dave, what's that album again? Oh, here it is. It's Attack and 9 Lives. There it is. Yeah, that's a rock album for him. It's not that his music isn't good. It's just not my cup of tea, because it's kind of like this alternative power pop stuff with some pretty good guitar soloing. Here's the deal. This generation doesn't care about guitar solos. They just don't. So it's kind of useless unless it comes back. It's something new. Hey, have you heard guitar solos? Yeah, I've heard them. My dad listens to them. I don't know what's up with him. He's kind of weird. So let's get to Roth, right? I remember, and I've got the shirt on just to remind me, during A Different Kind of Truth, when that album dropped, these guys were doing interviews. And here's the gist of what Roth was saying. He was praising Michael Anthony, who wasn't in the band at the time, basically for the sound that Van Halen had in their heyday. Not so much on A Different Kind of Truth, because that was Wolfgang playing bass and doing the harmony vocals. But Roth was praising Michael Anthony for his tenor voice and those high harmonies that mixed so well with both Dave's voice and with Sammy's voice. But he was also talking about the Alex drum sound and Ed's guitar playing. Duh, right? Talk about Ed's a pretty good guitarist, kind of like Captain Obvious, but he was putting the praise out there universally. He didn't say a word. He didn't say a word about Wolfie. He may have said, well, the kid, he's in the band and he's doing okay, right? That's my paraphrase of the events. I mean, you can go back and watch some of those videos. Those were cool sit-down videos. Again, you had Dave doing his stream of consciousness, memory of every little detail. Ed was hypercritical right before this period of Michael Anthony's bass playing, which Sammy Hagar documented, right? Sammy Hagar went off in defense of Mikey. I'm pretty sure it's still on YouTube. I was talking about that video because it's really harsh. And so he's really upset with Ed, and I think he used a couple of F-bombs to tell Ed where to go. So anyway, it was the perfect time. Yesterday or whenever this podcast went out, it was the perfect time for Roth to unload on the whole franchise. And that's kind of what he did. Remember when Sam took over in the 80s and he said he walked into a dysfunctional band? I kind of understand now. Maybe Roth was like, yeah, I can be a movie star. I can go solo. Remember Dave TV? Everything was Dave this, Dave that. It was becoming more Dave than Van Halen. And so Roth, striking while the iron was hot and using his personality and showmanship, said, see you later, guys. But he may have been leaving for more than just that. Maybe there was too much substance abuse. There was too much debauchery that was making it a bit, just untenable. Like, I'm not going to be able to do this with these guys. Now, Roth definitely has stories to tell, but my guess is Roth was kind of like a functioning alcoholic, or he could drink and then he could get up the next day and do what he's always done. And maybe he just had a line that he wasn't going to go over, whereas Ed and Alex and maybe even Michael, maybe those guys all just said, screw it. We're going to have fun. We're on top of the world and we're going to take advantage of our fame. And maybe behind the scenes, Roth was like the disciplined one and the one that did the organizing. The fact that he would bring in these people who apparently were going to give them money. And Wolfie throws this person, this woman, I guess on 2 separate occasions, Wolfie throws her out, probably to get back at Roth, because Roth wasn't really saying anything good and he wasn't noticing Wolfie. So Wolfie obviously has this issue, and look, he's the son of Eddie Van Halen. I get it. What he probably should have done was said, you know what, my father, his legacy needs to keep going. And I can still make a ton of money. And, I guess if you want to prove yourself, then prove yourself by learning how to play the way Ed played, because then people will say, hey, kind of like Jason Bonham, he's almost as good as his dad. Now, you don't hear that about Jason Bonham, but he's almost as good as his dad. And I think Wolfie could be almost as good as his dad. But again, he's trying to forge his own path, even though he took the name Mammoth WVH. And people on Twitter are like, hey, or X, they're like, hey, if you want to distance yourself from your dad, why did you pick the Van Halen name? It's like a Captain Obvious question. And the guy says, well, I wouldn't have done that. I would have probably tried a different path, a different name. And Wolfie says, hey, you've got tapioca pudding for brains. So maybe Roth picked up on some of this stuff early on, and the two obviously didn't get along. Wolfie, by the way, in recent months, without calling one person out, has been saying things like, certain people make it hard to organize a tribute for my dad. That's my paraphrase, but that's really the gist of it. Ed was hypercritical of Anthony's bass playing, which was documented by Sammy Hagar. So it's really the perfect time for David Lee Roth to unload on the whole franchise, which he did. Remember when Sam took over back in the dysfunctional band era and Roth left because he was tired maybe of the craziness, or maybe he really did think that, he had a chance to be a star without these guys. So all of that is part of what is going on. In his takedown video, he kept referring to the brothers. The brothers. I wanted to hang out with the brothers. We were at Jones Beach, and I was looking out over the crowd, and I was getting all teary-eyed. And then the kid, the kid. Look, I think there is a serious side to David Lee Roth. Go listen to the song Damn Good. Hasn't been played on the radio in like 35 years. But that song always moved me. It was like a song about just reminiscing, looking back at the good times. And I think at that point, that's what Roth wanted to do. But then there's this kid that he keeps talking about. Look, here's the punchline here. The fact that Roth, who likes to talk, he likes to talk a lot, more than me, held back this long and all the details is actually rather remarkable. You would have thought that Dave would have unloaded. But here's the thing. This answers that question that I had for like 2 years. Why isn't Dave saying anything? After Ed passed away, how come Dave is so quiet? So I'm getting this picture that not only was Ed a problem for Roth and maybe Alex, now Wolfie was a problem. And he was just trying to take, believe it or not, by not saying anything, he was kind of like taking the high road. And so, that makes more sense to me. Whereas Sammy, who said some far more harsh things in public about Ed, not about Wolfie, but about Ed and to some degree Alex as well. Hagar made up with, Ed at the end of his life. And so that gave him, I think, a little more space to come out and say things later on, even though he said some of the harshest things about Ed. So the bottom line here is, this band, highly dysfunctional, and everybody involved. And Roth may have been the most functional guy based on what he's saying here. He may have been the most normal when it comes to business and being alert to what's going on around you. Whereas these guys just suit up and get on the field, and, if they want to drink or do drugs or whatever it is that they're going to do, they're just going to do it. And Roth is going to sit there and go, okay, guys, we need a little bit more discipline here. And again, Roth did a pretty good job in 2015. That was really, I think, 2015, 2016, the end of that was really the end of Van Halen as we knew it. And I'm thinking that it probably bothered David Lee Roth that Michael Anthony was not in the band. I think it probably bothered him a lot. But for Roth to earn that paycheck that he earned, he had to hold his nose and go out there with the kid, as he likes to call him in his takedown. So again, just some food for thought here. I don't have all the answers to all of this, but it kind of seems like maybe Roth wasn't the bad guy. I mean, maybe he was the only good guy in all of this. So it's kind of changed the way I think about David Lee Roth. David Lee Roth survived Van Halen. He lived to talk about it. And now guess what, folks? He's going to keep talking about it. And I think that's just the tip of the iceberg, because David Lee Roth seems to have some kind of a photographic memory, or at least certain things he can recall with amazing detail. Unlike me, I forget things that I said or did like 5 minutes ago. So here's a great band, Attack, 9 Lives. Check it out. You're going to like it, guaranteed, or your money back, whatever money that is. I don't know. If you actually buy a copy, you could try it out and see what you think. Use this as a coaster, right? And just, stream it online just to say, look, I bought a physical copy of something. Now, if they shut the internet down or the clouds evaporate, which could happen. I'm talking about the clouds where all your music and data and everything is. If those things somehow evaporate, then you'll have a physical copy and your friends won't have any music to listen to. So there you go. That's why you should buy a copy. And that's why you should continue to watch these videos, because I give out really good advice. God bless everyone, folks. Please subscribe to the channel, and also Patreon and YouTube memberships. I really appreciate everybody who's involved with that. I do have a few folks saying some nasty things here and there, but overall, you know what? Life is good. Life is good. It is what you make of it, and try to make the most of each day. And don't let politics destroy your life, because it's 2024, and there's a good chance that politics is going to drive people over the edge this year. All right. See you soon.